Hello and welcome. We're in Oracle City Office and I'm joined by Antony, blockchain live advisor and speaker and blockchain retail expert. Welcome.
Good morning, thank you.
You've been working in retail for an awful long time now, some great heritage and indeed in retail tech. Tell us how you went from retail to retail technology.
Yeah, so I'm born into a retail family. We've had a shop since 1923. And I've spent sort of my first 15 years of my career in large retailers, so M&S, Dixons, Sainsbury's, very much on the finance side. And over the last sort of 10-15 years, obviously e-commerce and mobile shopping and digital sort of shopping has grown. So I've spent a lot more time looking at that, working out how that works with physical retail, so omni-channel as it's talked about now. And the last sort of 5 years or so I've been in consultancy, actually working with big brands and retailers around the world on how mobile shopping, omni-channel, all that is affecting from a customer point of view. So we all use our phones, we're all on our phones 24/7. So social media and shopping is natural. And how does that transpose into a physical environment and that side of it? So all of that's underpinned by technology. So without fail, technology in retail is probably the most important bit after a customer, obviously. They're always the most important. And so it's using technology in the right way. And as you go through sort of the evolution of retail really to omni-channel, digital has taken over and the technology side means that I've just spent more and more time understanding the technologies that underpin all these processes and how customers interact, and it's naturally brought me to really starting to learn more about blockchain and where we are now.
And that's culminated in your fantastic book, The Retail Handbook, and indeed there's parts of that where you explore lots of different technologies affecting retail as an industry, and when, as you mentioned there, one of these technologies which is slowly growing acclaim amongst retailers is blockchain. Could you tell us a bit about how your kind of blockchain eureka moment, and indeed what you believe the possibility is for this technology?
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things with the book is I've related shopping and how retail used to work in the 20s to now. One of my main arguments is it's the same. So you may do things very differently, i.e. with technology now, but it's still the same thing. And blockchain has come about and it's actually less of something that used to happen. So blockchain is interesting because it's a new type of technology. It's actually more of an ecosystem and a process. It's not just a brand new platform. It's not a new system. So people seem to think, oh, we can put in this new blockchain system and things will work. It doesn't work that way. It's about the process and procedures around it and a lot about consensus and other mechanisms. So blockchain gives retailers the opportunity to transform. And I think it is by far, I know and I believe that it is the next big transformation. So if you think e-commerce has just happened over the last few years, that's transformed retail. The next thing is blockchain. And because it's about trusted, decentralized, transparent, lots of other areas, but it means that the way you interact with your customers and with each other, and especially in the supply chain. So if you imagine the products in a supply chain, for the big retailers around the world, the supply chain is vast. It involves thousands, tens of thousands of different parties around the world, lots of different information, and that, at the moment, does not work for any retailer. And even the biggest retailers in the world have big issues around supply chain.
And indeed, supply chain is one of those areas that has been often touted as being a huge area of innovation for blockchain, and as you mentioned, that's a huge knock-on effect, certainly for retailers. And you mentioned also there about interactions with consumers, another great benefit I think blockchain will bring. There seems to be perhaps a little bit of hesitancy, certainly amongst retail, to fully engage with this technology. But why is it you think people should be looking at it now at this nascent stage?
Yeah, I think it's natural because it's a new technology, or it's more than a technology, but it's new, and it is actually complex. So to understand blockchain and what blockchain can do in decentralized ledgers, I think people need to actually understand how it works first themselves. it's not as simple as it's a new type of database, it's a new type of app, which you don't really need to understand. You've got a tech department can do that. You actually need to understand how blockchain can transform things to be able to then have the right discussions. And so it's fear of unknown.
Yeah.
It's natural. We're all humans. We don't know what it's going to do. Nobody knows what blockchain will do. But what's happening now is some really big proof of concepts, trials and tests happening in the biggest retailers in the world, and consumer brands and supply chain companies, which means something must be going right. Something must be happening there that means this will transform. So it is about personally as a retailer, as a person, understanding the technology and what it means, and then investing as a business in, you know, some sort of trial, some testing, partnerships, where you're starting to try very small areas of supply chain or loyalty or whichever area, and you'll soon see benefits. And with any technology, as the benefits start to come through in a trial, you go, oh, this is quite interesting.
Yeah.
Let's do more of this. Let's see how big it can get. And the scale of this is immense. The technology is not there yet. Let's be really realistic. Yeah. You cannot apply blockchain technology to the supply chain of a global retailer across the board. At this stage, I'm not sure it's impossible, but it's definitely not realistic. But you can apply it to different parts of the supply chain in isolation and then start to work those together. And where I think there's a lot of hesitancy at the moment is, which blockchain do I back? Yeah. So I would say it's like VHS and Betamax, for people who remember that. You know, which is going to win? Nobody knows which is going to win. And actually, I don't care which one wins, because I don't believe there will be a winner. Just like you've got Google, Facebook, Amazon, WhatsApp, etc., etc., you're going to have a number of different ecosystems which can work together. So quite often people say, well, which one should we invest in first? Doesn't matter. Blockchain technology, blockchain process and theory can be moved. Yeah, it will cost a little bit of money, but actually try it with the big ones first. There's 2 or 3 enterprise grade blockchains out there. Work with those. They're the level you need to work with. And if it happens the other one is better, great. You'll still be at a small stage where you can transfer the technology processes to a different one.
Indeed, that I suppose lays the groundwork for when this blockchain revolution comes in, for them to be somewhat ahead of the curve. And I think a lot of people we talk to certainly say that you know, blockchain's the new internet, the internet of value. There are lessons we can learn from that internet age in regards to the sweeping changes that it has made. And do you think there's parallels potentially between the impact the internet has had on retail and the impact that blockchain may have on retail?
Yeah, I think so. I look at blockchain as a sort of internet 3.0, 4.0, wherever you think we are on the point zeros. I do think it's the next level for retail. So if you imagine Amazon, every retailer in the entire world has been affected by Amazon or Alibaba, or the Amazon equivalent in sort of China, etc. They have totally transformed the retail world. And you look at the high street today, even the last few days, House of Fraser, Mothercare, all these big retailers in the UK and in the US, there's big issues, Toys R Us, they're all disappearing from the high streets. Now that's not because customers are spending less. So customers are still spending slightly more. They're spending it online because Amazon came in as a brand new company a few years ago and said, we're going to do everything online, we're going to make it amazing. And so everybody tries to fight Amazon, and quite often retailers say to me, what's the anti-Amazon strategy? Yeah. Or CPGs, they say the same. And actually I think blockchain is the next one to change it, because with blockchain the supply chain becomes transparent, very clear, you can look at all your costs, you can look at your provenance. From a business point of view, there's many benefits, but also from a customer point of view. Yeah. So imagine if I could scan your shirt and it tells me exactly which cotton bud it grew up in whichever field in the world, which sort of factory, where that was spun, so where the actual cotton was spun, which factory it went to be stitched together, which lorry it travelled on to get to the warehouse, and then how it got to the store that you bought it in, and then onwards from that. So then you can say, actually, I want to sell my shirt. So say it's a designer brand. you can then sell it and they would know that it is an official brand. Now, for customers, the power of that is immense. Never mind tracking, traceability and all the good things that that offers. So you've got a massive customer benefit, which is where Amazon started. So Amazon said, we'll do what makes the customer happy. If you take that philosophy with blockchain, you could reinvent retail. And I believe other retailers can become bigger than Amazon. If Amazon takes blockchain on and makes it better, it's going to be a challenge, but everybody else has the opportunity now to use blockchain to try and be the next Amazon, and more importantly, at least be able to compete fairly with them.
And some of these developments are kind of being passed on, as you say, to the consumer or the customer or indeed the citizen. I mean, there's nothing bad, you couldn't say anything wrong about benefits being passed on to consumers. How do you think actually retail and kind of related peripheral industries and the industries that it touches, how do you think they should be coming together to discuss this? Because some of these benefits that are being developed to the consumer should be kind of written in, I think, to a lot of these kind of blockchain programs. And how do you think we can ensure that?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, working together. Blockchain is about decentralised and working together more, rather than having the centralised down and we're forced to work together. It's about choosing, in essence, to work together. So it's a different mindset, but it's the way the world is, way people are moving. The world maybe not be moving that way, the people are moving that way to try and travel more, see more, understand each other more. And so I do think retailers, CPGs and supply chain companies need to start working together. Less of the, I don't want to share my information, I don't want you to know my secrets. Reality is I've done retail all my life and there's no secrets in any retailer that the other one doesn't know. Because everybody's moved around, and at the end of the day, no disrespect to any retailer, I'm a retailer my entire life, it is one of the easiest industries ever. Because you buy something that customer wants to buy, and that's it. So what makes it complex is scale and complexity. Blockchain can make that simple and transparent, but you can't do it alone. You can't do it as a retailer on your own. You need your full supply chain, which could be 10 different partners, 100, 1,000, and you need to bring everybody in the ecosystem together. So it is going to be a different way of operating, and I think some sort of partnerships and agreements need to happen so that you can then start to maximise the benefits. Because if you do it on your own, you'll do well, but you won't get the full benefit of how everybody can work together.
And I think people can find out a bit more about that, certainly by reading about a lot of your work online, certainly. And indeed, at Blockchain Live, we have an entire agenda dedicated towards retail supply chain, indeed talk from yourself as well, so people can enjoy that. But yes, thanks so much for speaking with me today. People can find out more and see you at Blockchain Live, which is on the 26th of September, and indeed you can find out more online by visiting our website, blockchainlive.com.